Hello, this video will highlight the new features of SGS Prime COGO version 1.8. First, touchscreen keypads. The main purpose for adding touchscreen keypads was to make it easier and faster to type things like names and descriptions. Take, for example, the process of creating a new project and entering the project name. This was always done by enabling the alpha mode and then hunting for the letters on the keypad. This is still possible to do, but there's a new, easier way to do this. Now you can tap on an active field and the touchscreen keypad pops up with alpha mode enabled and ready for input. This is much faster for anyone used to typing on a touchscreen. When a numeric field is active and is tapped, the numeric key pops up. The numeric keypad will feature a context-sensitive helper button, which could vary depending on your current settings. For point numbers, a browse button to select a point from the database. For directions, to convert quadrant bearings to bearings, for example. For distances, the ability to convert from secondary to primary distance unit. And for angles, to convert decimal degrees to degrees, minutes, seconds. As a result of these touchscreen keypads, it's now possible to use much of the app using only the touchscreen. Next, the RPN calculator and user variables. The RPN calculator continues to be improved to make it easier to use and have more capabilities. For ease of use now, whenever you start typing in a value, the menu gives you access to unit assignments for angles and distances, the primary angle unit and radians, and both the primary and secondary distance units are shown. You can type a value, tap the menu button to assign the unit. This is faster than to toggle the menu on the right to units and then back to one of the other ones that you're using. The main new feature of this version is the ability to enter 2D or 3D vectors and perform basic calculations with them. To define a vector, use Shift 5, which opens to an input form. On the right hand side, you'll see the options to enter vectors in rectangular or polar form, and a checkbox specifies whether it's a 2D or a 3D vector. To demonstrate, I'll enter a 2D polar vector 20 meters in length, having a bearing of 52 degrees. On OK, the vector is on the stack. Once there, you can toggle polar and rectangular display by using the PR menu option under the Tools menu. In rectangular form, the components of the vector are clearly identified. Now let's define a second vector in rectangular form. For example, delta north is 5 meters and delta east is -1 meter. To add these vectors, use the addition key. The resulting vector will take on the display mode of the top vector. Again, the display mode can easily be toggled. Subtraction works the same as addition. To multiply by a scalar, enter this number and then use the multiplication key. Division works the same way. Vectors may also be stored as variables, a process which is now also easier. If you have a value on the stack that you want to store, you could type in the variable name as before using the alpha key followed by the double quotes and the name. Then either use the stow option in the tools menu or shift stow on the keypad, and this still works as well. Now you do not need the variable name on the stack first. You can simply use the stow menu option or shift stow to have the keypad pop up to enter a variable name. Then from the vars menu, these values can be called to the stack. To overwrite a variable, place a new value on level 1 of the stack, then Shift plus the menu key of the variable to overwrite. Purge a variable, you can still type the variable name and use the purge option from the tools menu. Or you can use the purge option without a variable name, and the list of variables will be provided where you can choose the variable to purge. It is now also possible to store variables from other calculation results, for example from the curve solver. The copy button was there previously and can be used to copy values to the clipboard. The new option Stow V allows you to store the values to named variables. Keep in mind that reserved variable names cannot be used, for example single letter names A through Z. Those stored variables can be copied to the current input field by using the vars key on the keypad. A list of variables is shown where a value can be selected. The expanded clipboard. Previously, only a single value could be on the clipboard at any time. Now the list defaults to 10 items in length. To paste a value into any input field, use the Shift Paste option on the keypad. When more than one item is on the clipboard, again, a Choose list allows you to pick the value to paste. Shift Copy copies the value from the edit line or the selected field to the clipboard. Subchord calculations. Going back to our previous curve calculation, there are now options to calculate subchords by station or by interval. By station, we'll solve one station at a time, specify the known station at a principal point on the curve, then enter the station to solve. An optional offset from the curve direction, and whether the subchord information is calculated from the closest point or explicitly from the beginning or end point. The results show us the chord length and from which end of the curve, and the turned angle from the tangent to the station. Similarly, by interval, except all station at a given interval are solved. Leveling projects. Additional settings are now available when creating a leveling project. It is now possible to specify a default distance to use for sites, set a custom turn point prefix, and select a field book format. With default distances enabled, all distance fields are disabled. The field book format is used to display the field book and to export a field book. Other miscellaneous items. A few other items of note. The curve and triangle solver now retain the previous inputs after the calculation is complete, making it easier to edit one of the values and recalculate. To clear all fields in a form, use the Shift and Delete key combination. Also, while editing a field, the cursor position can now be updated with the touchscreen. Thanks for watching.